Today we are going to discuss magnetic particle testing. This is Mr. Mane here, and we are going to discuss about magnetic particle testing, about the lesson magnetic particle testing equipments. Now, in magnetic particle testing, basically there are three types of equipments. One is portable equipment, second is for mobile equipment, and third one is stationary equipment. So this third stationary equipment, we can't move from one place to another place. Mobile equipment, we can move within the shop or for limited areas. But portable equipment, we can move anywhere on the site location because the weight of portable equipment is very less. So this application of portable equipment, stationary equipment, and mobile equipment depends upon your number of jobs, size of job, sensitivity requirement. uh. So these are the things we are going to discuss here. So magnetic particle testing equipment, the following should be considered when selecting equipment for magnetic particle testing. Is equipment for wet method or dry method? A magnetization requirement, either AC current or HWDC current or DC current. A demagnetization incorporated or separate unit is necessary. Then amperage required, because for low amperage we can make movable equipment. But if your job is bigger and we have to use then higher current, so we can't make mobile equipment because weight of transformer will be increased. We have to make stationary equipment. The weight of the equipment will be more, so we can't move from one place to another place. Now next is line voltage requirement, then accessory needed or required. Accessories means black light is required or electrical motor. So it depends upon type of methods. So weight continuous equipment, here we are going to discuss. In weight continuous equipment, basically there are two types of arrangement. One is head shot, which will produce circular magnetization, and second is coil shot, which will produce longitudinal magnetization. So to option circular magnetization, the specimen is clamped between the head and tailstock. For longitudinal magnetization, the coil is moved so that the area to be tested is encircled by the coil. A typical weight horizontal unit usually accommodates both AC and HWDC magnetization. The weight continuous field method has three basic steps. The first, we have to flow bath through nozzle and over entire surface of bath. Then we will apply the current. Then we will stop the bath, and then we will off the current. But one thing always please remember, weight continuous method means I we are applying current, the bath should be there on the surface in wet condition in case of wet method. Uh, so next we are going to this see just the headshot arrangement. See, this is head, this is tail of bench type machine, and we are passing current from head to tail. And this is the bath, and see we are seeing this longitudinal crack here because the field in hair shot is long circular field. So ultimately we can detect circular defects. So sorry, longitudinal defects. Now see here, that is a coil shot arrangement. There are some 5 turns coil. This is standard turns. So generally there are 5 turns. The current is moving circular. The field will be longitudinal, and we will detect this transverse crack, or we can say circular crack, because the field is longitudinal. And the bath means it is a mixture, or it is a mixture of solvent plus iron particles, or we can say kerosene plus iron particle, or we can say water plus iron particle. So water based, kerosene based, and oil base. Basically, there are generally we are using these three bases. Depends upon requirement, customer requirement, procedure requirement. So here again we are going to discuss dry continuous field method. Dry continuous means instead of applying wet bath on the job surface, we are applying dry particles, dry iron particles. So we'll see the method. The first step is to apply magnetizing current. The second is blow powder particles over magnetized area. Third one is blow excess powder off of part. And then fourth one, last one is shut off magnetizing current. The powder should be flowed to the magnetized area so that particle will be attracted to any flux leakage. The dry powder method is typically used with both mobile and portable equipment, which we discuss around the following stage. Now, see, this is the mobile equipment, means we can move this equipment within the shop floor. So, there in many cases, it is necessary to bring the equipment to the specimen. A typical mobile equipment, such as one above, usually operates on 220 to 440 horse. AC and will produce about 4000 amperes. So here is limitations of current. If you want higher amperage, then definitely we have to make bigger machine because size of transformer will be increased, weight of machine will be increased. So it is not possible to move from one point to one location to another location within the shop floor. So so this is the limitation. That's why the mobile equipment we can make, but amperage limitation is up to 4000 amperes. Now, mobile equipment usually produce both AC and HWDC magnetizing current. So there is facility of AC and HWDC magnetization current as well. The cable used around the unit above vary from 15 feet to 100 feet. Shorter cable will permit the maximum current output because we know if length is increased, the resistance to current will be increased and definitely magnetic field will be reduced. So prods and cables are usually used with mobile equipment. It often takes two technicians to manipulate the prods, apply the magnetic powder. Okay. Then in this type of equipment, we can give headshot, we can give coil shot, and we can use prod. So in mobile equipment, there is three types of facilities: headshot, coil shot, and prods. So however, longitudinal magnetization can be produced by wrapping the cable into coil. It is also possible to use central conductor clamp between the two cables to produce circular magnetization. Typically, mobile equipment uses the dry powder method, but can be used with aerosil can or external tanks. So this mobile equipment we can use for dry method as well as wet methods. Now we are going basically sometimes the castings are there. So for casting we have to use prods because the bigger casting sometimes is difficult for headshot and coil shot. So we can use this prod method because yoke is not highly sensitive method as compared to prod because all of you already know prod is direct method means we are sending directly current to the job. So sensitivity will be high in case of prod. Huh? Okay, then mobile equipment. Okay, then portable equipment. So portable equipment is lighter and less expensive than the other type of magnetic particle testing equipment. Typically, portable equipment is the voltage range also given here is is shown at above and operates at 110 to 200 volts at pitch and output between 500 to 1200 amperes. Now you see again here, the portable equipment will produce current up to 1200 amps only. Also there is yoke type machines also, it comes under portable equipment. Okay, this yoke, this ultraviolet light and this, see this portable equipment kit actually is here. Gauss meter, yoke, and this one is ultraviolet light. This is the black ink, this is the dry powder, this is the fluorescent magnetic ink. So these are the things here we are going to see in portable equipment. But the one of the most benefit of portable equipment is we can carry this equipment on location. It depends upon your requirement. Means we can move from one side to another side. So it's possible in case of portable equipment. So the portable equipment usually have a choice of either AC or HWDC. As with mobile equipment, the cable can be used for cross wrapping into coil and connecting to a central conductor. Portable equipment also use the dry powder method for most applications. Also, we can use wet method as well. It depends. That the application of portable equipment totally depends upon the procedure, the customer requirement, and service conditions. So, but we can use for wet as well as dry for both methods. For example, if you are looking in service inspection, so if in service inspection means there are some chances of fine surface crack, so we have to use wet method because high surface crack we can't detect by using dry methods. So there are limitations of these techniques. So we have to use as per procedures. Then demagnetizing equipment. Once your magnetization completed, we have to remove the magnetic field from the job. Otherwise, that magnetic field will interfere with your further applications. If suppose there is any welding, further then arc flow will be there. So it depends upon further application. So we have to remove magnetic field. That removing of magnetic field means demagnetizing. That process is known as demagnetization. So we are here, see here, coil type equipment. So the most common type of demagnetizing equipment consists of an open coil through which AC is flowing. Typically, unit shown below. and include track that will carry the part through the coil. As the part is carried away from the coil, the magnetic field is reduced. The continuously alternating current in the coil complete the demagnetization. The limitation of magnetic particle testing: non-magnetic material cannot be tested. Magnetic particle testing will not detect discontinuities that are deeper than approximately 1/4 inch below the surface. However, the penetration depends on the permeability of material, type of discontinuities, amount, and type of current used. Now, here safety consideration is very important in case of fluorescent magnetic particle testing, because there are many things, as well as we are using electricity, so we have to care about the safety precautions. So electrical arcing is hazardous. It is usually caused by poor contact and by using excessive current, so your job will be damaged. It can also be caused by allowing the rod to slip, which may result in arcing or damaging the surface of part. The arcing cause sparks, which may result in fire in case of kerosene-based bath. The dust from the magnetic particle is non-toxic, but excessive amount should not be inhaled. Use dust respirator. Smoking or open flame should not be permitted near the wet bath process. Then, then black light, which is used with fluorescent particles, will not damage the skin or eye if the filter are used on the light. It is possible to experience a clouding of vision if the black light is directed into the eye. This happens because the fluid in the eye will momentarily fluoresces. That's why we can't focus the light on eyes. So burns can be caused due to resistance sitting in the part or the prods. Caution should be used in handling the part or touching the prod immediately after the magnetic particle test. So we have very careful about these things while we are uh, using magnetic particle testing. Now see here, the magnetic particle medium and their preparation. Now magnetic particle medium means iron particles and their preparation, how we are preparing that, what is different type of colors of that particles, and what is size of the particles, is the size and the shape of the particle. These are the parameters we are going to discuss here. Now, when the medium, whether dry or liquid, is applied to the specimen while the magnetizing current is flowing, the procedure is known as continuous method. This is the definition of continuous method. Your medium, it doesn't matter either dry or liquid, is applied to the specimen while the magnetizing current is flowing. Means when current is flowing, we are applying medium. That is known as continuous method. If the medium is applied after the magnetizing current is shut off, the procedure is known as residual method. Means we are applying current, then we are removing current. After removal of current, there is residual field in the job, and in that residual field, if you are using and you are applying iron particles or magnetic ink over the surface, that is known as residual method. Means after removal of current, we are applying the particles on the job surface. That is residual method. In the dry method, the powder is applied by sprinkling or dusting the specimen. That's why we are getting uniform coating application. Otherwise, in some places it will drop more powder, some places it is accumulated less. So we have to apply uniformly over the examination surface. See here, different of color powders. So down see the different color. The purpose is only contrast. Now see the here the again here is the weight method. In weight method, see, this is the bath, and the bath is actually it is a mixture of solvent plus iron particles. In weight method, the medium is mixed with liquid to make a bath, which is then applied to the surface of the specimen. Now, particles of the testing medium must possess two important properties. One is high permeability and low retentivity. Means whatever particles we are using there, that particle should possess high permeability. Why high permeability is necessary? Because while current is going on, when magnetization is going on, the permeability is high, then the particle will easily attract towards the crack. And while low retentivity is necessary, once your current is stopped, and then if low retentivity is less, means the particle will not stick on the job. huh? That's why low retentivity is necessary. Then magnetic particle containing these characteristics will give maximum response in leakage field, but will not remain magnetized when the field is removed. The size of particle used in the dry method varies, but they will usually all passes through 100 mesh stream. Basically, it is given in ISO standards. If dry particles, we can use powder which is greater than 40 micron. For wet method, we can use the powder particle size that is less than 40 micron. So the shape of the magnetic particle should be spherical and must have a high degree of mobility, still have substantial attractive power. Rounded smooth particles offer good mobility, but have a low attractive power. So we have two properties. We have two things are here important. One, if there is leakage field, then powder will move towards the defect. That movement depends upon shape of powder. If powder is circular, then it will easily move. But the limitation of rounded particle is that there is no pole formation, so attraction is less. So we are making this is compromise between rounded and circular, rounded and slender type. So we are making spherical. Uh, that is the we can use the we can compromise between that. So which will give high attraction as well as high mobility. Now long slender jagged particles have excellent attractive power, but do not have the mobility to move in leakage field. Uh, In wet method, magnetic oxides of iron are used because they are extremely fine and have a lower permeability than metallic dry particles. So here one thing is there, the powder which we are using for wet method, that has very small powder, and that powder made from oxides of iron. So there is less permeability as compared to dry particles. The particle size must be small in the wet method to permit particle to remain in suspension in the liquid. So basically that is less than 40 micron. Mobility is important because when the particles are brought into a leakage field, they must be able to move to form an indication or pattern. In dry method, mobility is assisted by dusting or blowing the particles over the surface of the specimen. Mobility can also be assisted by vibrating the specimen after the particles have been dusted on the surface. Alternating current also assists mobility since the alternating field causes particle to dance because of AC current has tendency flowing from positive to negative, so there is vibration, and due to that vibration the particle will dance. In wet method, the mobility is greatly assisted because the particles are suspended in liquid bath. Visibility is important in magnetic particle testing and good light source is essential. Magnetic particles are usually available in gray, red, black, and choice of color is determined by the base contrast with specimen surface. Fluorescent particles are commonly used in wet method to add visibility, but this requires the use of black light. Now this is see the black light. There is one filter here, and inside the filter there is mercury tube, and that produce the ultraviolet light. So here precaution we have to take. We have to take precaution because if the filter is broken, then out UV light will came out, and that is then dangerous to our screen. That is not that is harmful effect on our screen. So we have to care about the filter. Filter must be proper. The intensity of black light, minimum intensity should be 1000 microwatt per centimeter square. Then wavelength it is 3650 angstrom or 365 nanometer. Now weight powder, we are discussing about weight powder. The weight suspension bath used in wet method consists of liquid in which particles are suspended. The particle used in optionable in highly concentrated form and may be either fluorescent or non-fluorescent. To achieve the required test sensitivity, the degree of particle concentration in bath must be correct. Means we are how we are making bath. We are mixing some amount of powder to water or kerosene, and so that proportion is important. That concentration is important. So to achieve the required test sensitivity, the degree of particle concentration in bath must be correct. Agitation must be constant while the bath is in use to maintain particle in suspension form. Then agitation is usually accomplished by electrically driven pump. The bath should be checked daily due to evaporation and loss of particles that are removed from the bath by the specimen. Now see the this is the concentration test. See the different color. Basically, we are using the yellow green fluorescent methods in industrial application. But there is a this red color, yellow this this color also available somehow. In some cases red color also there, but basically we are using yellow green color for fluorescent method. The settling test is essential to check the strength of bath and is accomplished by gravity settling in graduated pear shaped centrifuge tube as shown below. See, this is the centrifuge tube. Now, process of how we can check the settling test, how we can measure the concentration. These are the steps we are going to discuss. First, agitate the suspension thoroughly to assure particle distribution. Then fill 100 cc sample from the delivery hose into the centrifuge tube. Then demagnetize if necessary. Allow settling for 30 minutes. Take reading and record in log. Adjust bath either by adding particles or vehicle if necessary. That means here, if your concentration is more than uh, 0.4 ml or cc in case of fluorescent. So we have to add water there. Or suppose the concentration is less than zero point 0.1, then we have to add powder there. So based on that, we can add powder, magnetic particles, or we can add water. Now see here, for fluorescent, in case of visible method, the reading should be 1.2 to 2.4 for 100 ml. So in this centrifuge, we will take 100 ml. There is one marking of 100 here, 100 ml here, and at the bottom side there is marking of 0.1, 0.2, zero point 0.3 like this. And for fluorescent, 0.1 to 0.4 ml in 100 ml fluorescent bath. Now these data are guideline and will vary from one specification to another specification. This is general purpose only. So thank you very much for listening me. If any doubt, we'll discuss or you can write